Welcome to the second video of the last module. Oh, we're almost there. A little bit farther. In this video, we're going to be talking about the Apothecary System. Okay, Apothecary System is actually something that's very old and very antiquated. Quite frankly, you do not see the Apothecary System used all that much, and you're probably scratching your head saying, what in the world is the Apothecary System? Okay, the Apothecary System is basically, think of it this way, it's the way old school medicine used to run, where we measure in milligrams and grams and kilograms and blah 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 blah, etc., all the stuff that you are used to currently. This was another type of measurement, and it was based upon grains of sand and all sorts of other little things and stuff, and quite frankly it was not exact. We are, because of technology, we have become more exact. And if you've ever played video games, you've probably heard of the game of Assassin's Creed, one of my favorite games. Well, Assassin's Creed, one of the things that you could go to get medicine to help you was the apothecary, which looks like this weird looking thing that you see right here. It looks kind of like Gonzo from the Muppets. But the apothecary is that thing, if you just wanted to know, was kind of like a gas mask. It was what they believed would keep away diseases from them during the Dark Ages and stuff. But these people were basically the doctors of that day, and they would use apothecary. Now, moving on to the actual thing. Apothecary, like I said, is really, really old, and it is antiquated. You may see it, but I really doubt it. From what I have talked to various people, even in the pharmacies, they learn it, but it's never even been used. And some places don't even teach Apothecary System. So you may only see it in just this class, but just be aware of it. A couple of things that we're going to talk about are what we call drams, minims, and grains. And it's all different types of measurements, no big deal. Now, here's what I do need you to know about the Apothecary System. First off, units are always written in front of the number. Alright, so this is how I would normally write something. Let's say I weigh 300 pounds. I would write 300 and then I would write my unit at the end, 300 pounds. However, let's just say for the sake of argument that I weigh 300,000 grains. You would want me to write it like this. However, this is incorrect. The grains, GR, has to be written in front. This is read as 300,000 grains, but we write it weird. And I will tell you, it is counterintuitive. This is not how we normally write things, so you'll probably see me goof up and write grains at the end when it's supposed to be at the beginning, and I have to go back and erase it. You might see me do that in this video because it's not intuitive. Alright, it just isn't. So this is how we normally write things. The second thing that you have to know about Apothecary System is you never, ever, 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 ever write it as a decimal. So let's say you've done the math and you've come out with 0.3 infinity, and it's drams. This would be incorrect because they didn't have calculators like that back in the day, so they could not get those exact decimals like we can. And so what they did was they turned it into a fraction. And you should know this by this time in the semester because I've beat this in your head. 0.3 infinity should be written as 1/3. So this is 1/3 drams. So those are the big takeaways that I want you to know about apothecary, okay? 1, always write it, the unit in front of the number. 2, and never write a decimal. Always has to be a fraction. Alright, so that's pretty much about it with the Apothecary System. Here's the cool part. If you were good on Module 1 on converting numbers, and even if you were only slightly good, well, guess what? You're getting ready to do it all over again. So this should be review. I've already covered what Apothecary System is and what it's about. It's just another unit of measurement, and it's antiquated. No big deal. But now all we have to do is the math. And the math is simple because all it is conversions. Alright? So, your very first problem. And quite frankly, if you are excellent at conversions, you don't even have to watch the rest of this video. You could actually stop now, fill out the notes, and you'd be done. But I would suggest stop now, do it, then check your answers, because I am going to give you a quiz probably. Okay, just be aware. All right, so let's move on. Convert 4 drams into minims. All right, convert 4 drams into minims. Well, what do? We're going from, let's review. We're starting at drams and we're going to minims. Remember that from module 1? So where am I starting at? I am starting, well, let's do it the long way for right now. I know that my start is at 4 drams. I know that I'm trying to get to minims, and my question is, how do I get there? This should ring a bell because we have a start, we have an end, and we need to find the conversion factors that we need. All right, so my start, my end, my conversion factor. Now, you should see on your screen right now is your conversion factor sheets for Module 5. Now, look at what I've got circled. Those 2 should be the very first 2 conversions that you look at. Because if you look down in the chart below, it gets a little funky. Now, what am I talking about? I will tell you this. You can use either the conversion factors that I've currently got circled, or you could look at in the bottom and you can end up getting 2 different answers. Just giving you that now. So when you get a problem that wants you to go from drams or from minims or anything, look at these 2 first. Quite frankly, circle them on yours. All right? Because it's very easy. If you go to the chart, you're going to get different answers. Why is that? Why do we get different answers? That's stupid, Mr. Lewis. And you're exactly right, it is. So here's the reason. It's an antiquated system. It's old. And so we've had to maneuver and manipulate to try to get calculations as closely as possible. And we use this. We use these 2 first. And if these 2 conversion factors don't help us in the problem, well, then we go to the chart. Okay? So do that for me. All right, so now, according to your thing, we see that we have a conversion factor that 1 dram is equal to 60 minims. Now, you're probably like, can't I shorten this up? Well, actually, no. There's no really a short way on this one. You got to write minims out. Sorry, guys. All right, so, look what I did. See, even I said 1, there you go. I told you it is not intuitive. All right, so 1 dram is equal to 60 minims. Now, basically, we're going to do like we've always done a conversion. I know where I start. I'm going to start with 4 drams. I'm going to put a 1 under it right now. Multiply it by the conversion factor. This is going to be DR1. This is going to give me my minims, 60. What happens to my drams? They cancel out. Yoink, yoink. I work this out. Ooh, that's a bad one. 4 times 60 gives me 240. And my unit left is minims, so I'm going to make myself some room. So my answer is 60 minims. Very short, very sweet. All right, so let's go on to the next one. I'm going to leave this little piece of information up here because I want to use it again to kind of keep our thoughts together. Again, you don't, remember, back just like I told you in Module 1, you don't have to do what I'm doing here, but if it does help you, please do it. Where you're starting, where you're ending, and how you're going to get there. All right, so suppose the doctor told you to drink 34 drams of orange juice with breakfast. You do not have a measuring cup that measures in drams, but you have one that measures in ounces. So how many ounces is equivalent to 34 drams? Round to the nearest tenth. All right, so where am I starting? I'm starting at 34 drams. I am going to end in ounces. What are my conversion factors? Well, look at those first 2 again, see if it helps, and it does. We find out that 1 ounce is equal to 8 drams. Now that I know that, I can do everything like normal. I'm going to start with 34 drams. What do I put under it right now? 1. Why am I doing that, by the way? Because I need this as a fraction. Remember that from Module 1? We need a fraction, so we put it as a fraction. That's important because we're going to talk about that in just a second. All right, so we know that 8 grams is going to go here because we need them to cancel out. And we know that, yeah, sorry, I had to double check myself. 1 ounce is going to go on top. Your grams cancel out. So this is going to give me 34 times 1 is 34 over 8. And this is all in ounces. So 34 divided by 8 gives us 4.25 ounces. And my problem tells me that I can round to the nearest tenth. So my final answer, fix that, there's a little squeaky, is 4.3 ounces. Why is this okay when it's not okay in Apothecary? Because Apothecary is antiquated, they didn't have calculators, so they had to use fractions, but we have calculators. So we can use decimals. We can get more precise and exact numbers than what the Apothecary System could do. That's why we can use decimals here. All right, so pretty straightforward on that one. So that was done. All right, next one. If an item weighs 250,000 grains, what is the approximate weight in pounds? Now this one is, this one I really want you to concentrate on because definitely it's in your homework. 2, it is a test question, and 3, it is more complicated out of all the problems that you will see in this particular homework because you have multiple conversion factors that you need. All right, so let's just go through it. Where am I starting at? I'm starting at 250,000 grains. What's my end? I'm trying to get to pounds. All right, so now I got to find my conversion factor. So I'm going to pick my nose for just a second. I want you to try to find all the conversion factors that will help you to get from grains to pounds, and then come back with me, all right? That was a good one. All right, now with that said, we've got all this done. Hopefully you paused the video and you've done your thing. All right, so this is what we have. We know that 15 grains is equal to 1 gram, all right? I also know that 1,000 grams is equal to 1 kilogram. And then lastly, I know that 1 kilogram, I'm running out of room. I'm going to put it up here. Sorry, guys. 1 kilogram is equal to 2.2 pounds. Now, you may have got this one from your sheet. And you may have got this one from your Module 4 sheet. But how did we get this one? Where did this one come from, Mr. Lewis? It's nowhere, not even on my Module 4 sheet. And you're right. Okay? This is something that you should have learned back all the way in Module 1. Remember, what is it? King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate malted nasty-tailed milk. Remember that? Okay? Or you could go back to your Module 1 sheets. Okay, Module 1's coming back to haunt you. Just letting you know. So, we needed to know all 3 of these conversion factors. Now, let's do it. Where am I starting at? I'm starting at, and I'm going to have to write a little smaller, 250,000. What am I going to put it under right now? A 1. I'm going to multiply by how many conversion factors? I have 1, 2, 3 conversion factors. So, I'm going to multiply by 1, 2, 3. Alright, so which one am I going to use first? I'm going to use this one first because I'm trying to get rid of grains. So grains are going to go on the bottom and my gram is going to go up the top. So I am done with this one. Remember, when you're done with a conversion factor, scratch it out so you don't use it again. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to use this one because I have to go from grams and I'm trying to get to kilograms. So 1,000 grams to 1 kilogram. I am done with that. What's my last one? This right here. And since I'm trying to get rid of kilograms and go to pounds, pounds goes on top and kilograms goes on bottom. Let's go through it. My grains cancel out. My grams cancel out. Then the kilograms cancels out, and that leaves me with just my pounds as my final unit. And I'll circle that. So what am I going to do? I am going to multiply across the top first. 250,000 times 2.2 is going to give me 550,000. 1 times 15 times 1,000, when we multiply across the bottom, is going to give me 100 and, excuse me, that's not right. It's going to give me 15,000. Let me double check my math. I think I put something wrong in my calculator. I want to double check my math right here. This is important. Double checking, always important, double checking. All right, cool. So now I'm going to double check that top too, because I may have had something wrong in my own notes. Okay, this is right. Okay, so far so good. So now that I have this is in pounds. I'm going to divide the top number, 550,000, and I'm going to divide by 15,000, and I get 36.66 infinity. But the problem asked me to round to the nearest tenth, so that 6 tells that 6 to go up. So my final answer is 36.7 pounds. Alright, this one's one of the tougher ones because you got to know 1, 2, 3 conversion factors. And I can promise this is a test question. It's almost a guarantee. Alright, so we're down to the last two. Alright. Suppose a doctor orders 10 milligrams of morphine. What's the equivalent order in grains? Alright, so where am I starting at? I'm starting at 10 milligrams. Where am I trying to get to? I am trying to get to grains. And so what do? I'm going to start with 10 milligrams. What goes under it right now? A 1. Multiply by, look at your conversion sheet. Is there anything that can get me from milligrams to grains in that very first one? Okay, no, not really, but we can go to the next one. We should be able to find that one, our conversion factor. Oops, I jumped the gun, sorry about that. My conversion factor was grains is equal to 60 milligrams. I guess I am talking just a little too fast. Rewind it if you need it. My apologies. Alright, so my conversion factor was 1 grain is equal to 60 milligrams. I skipped that step because I was just going to it. And we plug this in as our conversion factor. So we know that 1 grain is 60 milligrams. Alright, sorry, I was moving too fast. Milligrams cancels out. Multiply across the top. Multiply across the bottom. Alright, now, here's the thing, if we go to put this in our calculator, we would get 0.166 infinity, and we would say this is to be grains. Now, here's the problem. This is wrong. Mathematically speaking, it is correct, but from the apothecary standpoint, it is completely wrong. Why? Apothecary does not use decimals. So we need to get rid of this. This is your instinct, was to probably to put it in the calculator, because that's what we do all the time. Stop. This is apothecary. So let's go back to this. So far, we have our grains is 10 over 60. Wait a minute, what did I just say? 10 over 60. That's a fraction. Can that be simplified? Well, yes it can. It can be reduced, not reduced, but simplified by 10. So really, my answer is 1/6 of a grain. Well, what's 1 divided by 6? 0.16 infinity. Alright, but we need a fraction. That's why this is so important. Alright. One more. My hands are getting dirty. The doctor prescribed atropine sulfate 1/150th of a grain subcutaneously. That's what SC means, and I'll explain that. Stat. How many milligrams will you prepare? So let's go back to this real quick. It says SC. SC means subcutaneously. This was not something I discussed in the first video that you watched, but basically, if you've ever been anybody around that has than insulin. It just goes into your skin. That's all it's saying. It goes just directly under your skin. So again, just kind of refresh. SC subcutaneously. Your other ones are IV intravenously and IM intramuscularly. These are the most common. All right, so going back to the actual problem, it says that we are going to start with 1/150th of that medicine, atropine sulfate. What is it? Don't ask me. I don't know what it is. I just do the numbers. All right, so 1/50th grains of atropine sulfate, and we're trying to get to milligrams. So we need to find our conversion factors. We know that our conversion factors, by looking at our conversion sheet, should come out to be 60 milligrams is equal to 1 grain. All right. Now, we're going to do like we normally do, except for one little step. Normally, I tell you to write down your first start. So this is what you probably are instinctually doing. GR 1/150, and then you're putting a 1 directly under it. Now, this is not wrong, because this is the way I've taught you to do it, because I've always told you that. And I've always said that the very first number you need basically is trying to turn it into a fraction to make our life easier. Well, here's the thing. I already have a fraction. There's no need for me to make a new fraction. All right? So in this particular case, instead of saying put a 1 under it, I'm just going to write the fraction. But I'm going to write it like this. GR 1 over 150. Now, I'm not going to put another GR here because it's going to get confusing. We don't need to. It's not necessary because that grains is already written up here. So here is my fraction. This is where I'm starting with. This makes your life a whole lot easier because no longer are you having to worry about putting 1/150th into your calculator. You don't have to waste your time. All right, so now you've got the start. Multiply it by the conversion factor just like you always do. And since I'm trying to get rid of grains, that goes here, this goes here, my grains cancels out, and I get 60 over 150 when I multiply this out, and this is all in milligrams. Now, because this is not apothecary, we can just go ahead and divide like we normally do. And in this case, we get a nice perfect number, 0.4 milligrams. And this is okay because we converted from apothecary to standard units or metric units. And metrics are okay with using decimals. All right, so that's it. Everything pretty much is right in line with basically using conversion. So this very first set of homeworks is 13 questions and nothing but conversions. And you should be fine on that because if you did well on Module 1, you're going to do stupendous in this module. And the next one that we're going to be getting into builds on, goes a step farther, and we're going to into conversions, but we use some, it's a type of conversion that we're going to do, but it goes in a little bit more detail on what the doctor's wanting you to do, etc., etc. And you'll understand that better in the next video. So this video is done. Hopefully it was short and sweet. Sorry if I was talking too fast. Hey, it happens. And if you got any problems, you know how to get up with me. See you then.